Hello and welcome to this short guide detailing you how to make a video interactive through the free-to-use software Scenario Builder. Now, Scenario Builder has been built as a way of embedding videos which are already uploaded to services like Vimeo and YouTube in order to make it really easy, really fast, and very efficient to actually create interactive video scenarios. So here I have Scenario Builder on its landing page, and either you can register for a new user if you don't have one already, or you can log in with an existing user. And the first thing that you will be met with in Scenario Builder is the dashboard interface. You can see here different stats about existing scenarios. You can see over here in the left side you have an overview of the scenarios that I have built. You also have an overview of all sessions, so you can data track whenever people have actually tested out your video scenarios. And of course, you can go into and isolate specific actions if you want to look and sort by how many have started versus how many have, e.g., continued a video at a certain point. Now, over in the left side, you can also access the builder, the scenario builder itself. And when you click that, you get the editor view. You can, in the bottom here, you can zoom in and out. You can see you have a manual floating around here. You can drag it around in your workspace. You can adjust the view back to normal. You can lock the view so you can't move any elements or delete them. And when you delete the manual, you can always bring it forth again by clicking the information icon down here. So the way the Scenario Builder works is basically that we build things in blocks. So you're down here at the lower left corner, we have a blue add button. And when I add here, I can either choose to add a video block or a link block. The most fundamental and mostly used feature is the link, is not the link block, it's the video block. The link block is one that can send you out of the scenario again. We'll show that in a minute here. The video block, when I add that, you can see here that I get a block. Zoom a bit in, so it's easy to see. We can give our scene, it basically adds us to a scene, so we can say start of the scenario. And then I am asked to embed a link. And you can see here that Scenario Builder supports YouTube and Vimeo. And now you might see over here, I actually have already filmed some videos and put them up in a playlist on YouTube. And this is sort of the optimal workflow for Scenario Builder. You film your footage, maybe you edit it with effects or whatever you want, and then you upload them to YouTube. But from there on, I can just go in here and either choose share, del in Danish, or I can just right-click, copy it. And when I do that and Control or Command V, insert it here in the block, you might see it rapidly changes and it's now actually embedded. And I can also preview it here in my Scenario Builder editor if I want. You can see here, this is a user trying to search for where the garbage bin is in his building. So, and when the user ends up here, figuring out where to go to look for the garbage bins, I'm thinking we want to make a choice there. And I could see that in the timer here that this is around 30 seconds inside of the video that we want to do that. So that is where Scenario Builder now comes into play. I can now say, okay, we have two choices we want to give the user. We want to give the user choice A, go right into the alley and look. And then I can choose Add Option and give the user a new option here. That might be go straight head down the road. And this is how Scenario Builder works. You can add a lot of different choices. You can, of course, also delete them again. And then we have now created a block here. And I want to create now a destination for these two specific ways that we've now added interaction to our video. So I want to create a new block. I put it up here. That might be, we are going into the alley. And I see here, I actually already have filmed one here. Over here, you can see a video I call Right. And when I insert that, we have now embedded a video where the user walks into the alley. And we also wanted a video for when the user walked forward. And I also filmed one called Forward Choice. You can insert it here. Going down the road, called the video that. And now what I actually have just to do to make this interactive is to pull here. You can see that there are these dots outside of the new buttons. Every time I make a button, I also get a dot. And these dots are lines. And now I just want to connect the lines to where in my scenario I want to be. So in this instance, going right goes up and I connect it to the left side of my video block. And here I go down, connect a block here. And what I've added now, I have actually made a very, very simple interactive video. One that, and you can see, however I want to choose to arrange my working area here, the lines will follow. Sometimes they also follow backwards, and I can always select the line and I can delete it again if I don't want it to be there. If I wanted it to go down here, for an example. So you can see we can actually add lines going more linearly. That might be if we want to make a video-based questionnaire, for an example. We make a linear video, but with multiple choices embedded within for us to track some data. But for now, we want it to go like this. And then it basically goes like that. We can continuously add more scenes. If we feel that things are being a bit cluttered, we can press this button to basically minimize our blocks, so our blocks become, when we have decided, they can become like this. And let's say that when we go down this alley, we want our user to actually select what kind of garbage he should sort, which bins to choose. And here we might have three choices. The rest bin, the paper bin, go back down the street. And then we might say that if you actually go down the street, we will need another video here called Return. And I'm going to show you here. You see here now we have Return. That goes there. Returning down the street. And here we might actually want the user to then feel, okay, going down the road, that we actually want this specific user to then know what garbage sorting actually is. So we might want to here add a link for our user instead. Zoomed a bit much here. Let's just reset the view quickly like that. So here I want to add a link block. You can see here it looks a bit different. I still have a scene name, so I can say, do you want to know more about sorting? And then I can send the user to a link. Now I know that there is a garbage disposal company, avv.dk, which has a lot of knowledge about that. And I can simply make it like, oh, I gotta remember HTTP, so it becomes a real link like that. And I can connect it with that. And then I can actually say that after you've been there, you are sent back again you are going to be sent back. So you can see here, I can actually make it so, even though that, and make it like that if I end up seeing a link, an external page, I can still, by pressing continue, then go back into my video scenario. And that is sort of the logic of Scenario Builder. We can add multiple scenes, we can connect them, and of course, we can be required to then zoom out, figure out how will we arrange this, but we build these networks of interactive scenes. And when I feel that I'm ready to actually finish up my work, you can see here that some scenes are empty right now. I have added some scenes where there aren't any content in. So let's just, for simplicity, make it like this. End and end. We always have to put information into your buttons. The buttons has to do something. Then I give my scenario a title. That's what will be presented in the beginning. Sorting garbage. You have 12,000 characters to introduce something in the beginning. It can be a link also. Welcome to our garbage sorting scenario. Make the right choices for the environment. And then we have 1,200 characters to our disposal also in the outro if we want to give some information when people actually end the scenario. It could be just simply thank you for participating, but it could also be links or more further information. I then press publish, and now I have created my scenario. You get this dashboard view where you can open it to edit your scenario further if you want that. You can see it here. Or if I publish again here, you can choose to play it, or you can see statistics, data, visualizations for when it comes. Now I have cheated a bit and actually created a full garbage sorting scenario already. You can see here I have actually built a more elaborate version of all of these videos over here from my playlist. I have connected them in multiple ways, including with some links, so that we actually have multiple choices. Sometimes you have many choices, sometimes you only have one choice. And one of the important things you can see here that we didn't show before is that I've also manipulated this one. This timer here tells us when, at what second or minute in the video, these buttons should arrive. And remember that we found that in the beginning, that around the mark of half a minute into the video, the user would begin to look side by side. And therefore, I have decided that 30 seconds into the video, the button should come. And you can see that I have manipulated this at all of my videos. Sometimes I actually want the button to come quickly. This is when you actually finalize the scenario, because you will have to push the button to actually end the scenario. So then I want it to happen fast. And if I have a block and I embed, let's say I embed a video inside of the block, like that. If I don't do any changes, it will automatically be so that the last frame of the video will be freeze framed and the button, the choices will come in the end. But you can manipulate it. You can also manipulate it so that the buttons are there from the beginning if you put it down here to 0.0. But that is basically how to build a scenario. We can go back, we can edit it, we can test it out, and then afterwards, when we have played the scenario, we begin to get information about the scenario. You can see here I get a flow chart of how many users have reached each scene. The red ones here are how many users have had this specific scene in my interactive scenario as the last scene, what's also called the bounce rate. And of course, I can go into the specific sections. I can go into detail about a specific section, seeing how did this specific user do this and this and that. But now let's see how it looks. I have created my scenario. I have put in my metadata, my introduction, my outro. published it. And now I want to create a link that I can send to people so I can actually test my scenario with people. I just click play scenario. And then you see Scenario Builder generates an URL. It generates a link. Now this one is in Danish, but here you can see this is the introduction text with fully functional links. And then if I send this link to people, when they click begin, then the scenario will play. And let's just see the first one here. You see the builder here. We have playback functionality. We can pause, we can play, and we can scrub 15 seconds back and forth. And here we can see, okay, now the buttons animated forward. And we can see here, okay, that maybe they actually animated forth a bit too soon. So I can always go back and say, okay, let's actually then edit it so it comes forward a bit earlier or later, depending on whatever we want to do. But I say here, okay, let's go into the alleyway. And then we go, and then it automatically embeds and plays the next video from YouTube. But in this way, we make it simulate that this is actually a Netflix Bandersnatch-like interactive video scenario, just made without any programming, any scripting, anything else than just having videos recorded here on an iPhone, uploading them to YouTube, and using Scenario Builder to actually create our scenario. And you can see here he gets back. And now I have created new choices that, okay, we can go into the alley again, or we can go down the street. And if I go down the streets, we can fast forward a bit here. We see our user, he actually arrives with the garbage cans. And let's say that we actually choose the right way so we can just show how the scenario ends. That he wants to throw it in the restaffald, the basic garbage disposal here. And you can see here that I have timed the clip so that when he succeeds in actually disposing of his garbage, the button of congratulations, you have achieved your goal already arrives, but the video still plays because he will then begin to go further down the road. But at any time, I can just play "Det lykkedes," and thus you get the outro text. And when I've done that now, when I go back to my editor, I can go into my specific scenario and I can see now that there just have been, if I go into sessions, I can see here that there were a new session and it has just been made in the builder here. And of course I can go into details with that specific one. So you can see here, it just ticked now there has been a scenario today. You can also see the statistics here from only one person finished it to now we have 2 persons finished it. So we can get a more or less live updated data. If we send a scenario with the link out to a participant and the participants are going through the scenario, we get immediate data. And we can also, when we go into our scenario here, we can also go in and actually export all of the data as an Excel file. So we can basically data visualize or do statistics, all that kind of stuff. So from having a blank canvas here, having our scenario builder, adding notes, through manipulating videos we have on either YouTube or Vimeo, dragging lines between them, to actually outputting it as a final data-tracked interactive video enabled through Scenario Builder. Hopefully you will have a good time using Scenario Builder. We have made it freely available for now. We hope you won't see too many bugs or things. But again, this is version 1.0. It's a piece of software we built because we thought that it actually needed out there. So leave a comment here in the description and tell us if there are any bugs you have encountered, or if you have any suggestions for new features or maybe new use cases that we have not thought about for Scenario Builder. Thank you so much for using the software. Happy building!